Welcome to another episode of the Future Tech Podcast. It's me, Charlie Sell, the COO of Hydrogen Group, where I get to speak to thought leaders, founders, people who are passionate about STEM technology and get a chance to hear their story, hear how they got into their roles and that all-important career advice to many of the young listeners, part of the STEM Ambassadors Association, looking to get that footstep into their first career. So I am really, really pleased to have Alexandra Maslova with me today. Alexandra is the founder and CEO of Smart DPP. Smart DPP is the digital product passport technology business for the fashion industry. And Alexandra's got a brilliant story, how she got into tech from, a variety of different means, but to what she's doing now is really, really inspiring. So for many of our listeners, I'm really quite excited to hear her story and what her plans are for the future. So Alexandra, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you so much for having me. It's really exciting, and I cannot wait to share with you all the insights of my story and maybe share some advice for the future generation.
Amazing. Well, look, let's jump straight into the first question. And please tell us more about your story.
Well, my story starts back when I was 17. I started working when I was 17. I launched my first e-com brand. I've always worked in traditional fashion. It was my passion since I was young, and I always knew I'm gonna work in that industry. Something was so attractive there. When you're a kid, you look through magazines and you're like, wow, that's what I'm gonna do. It's like a dream world, right? Like a playground. So when I was really young, I started with that brand. So I built my own website, starting selling fast fashion at that point. And then I started designing custom-made jackets. I remember for a small amount of clients that I found through word of mouth and social media. It was a long time ago when social media was just kicking in the world. Instagram appeared, and I remember it was a big thing, and people started to, speak through it, post through it, sell through it. So I was one of the first at that point. So I got my first degree, and then I went to work in Inditex and Zara as a PR manager. That was my first proper big job. It was really exciting. I think it was fantastic. I was incredibly lucky with the team, with the management. I love the equality in the team, the respect. I will remember it always because that's how I tend to be right now. I try to be like that because I had a fantastic example. So I'm extremely grateful. And I think after that, I was like, my long-term dream was to study in Central St. Martin's and to go back and study again, at least for a year or so. So I got into Central St. Martin's for a fashion communication course where we studied everything from styling, production, design, every possible thing. And after that, I held a wide range of roles across the industry. So I worked everything from retail. I worked on the shop floor. I moved to production, became a brand manager. I even was a photographer and videographer assistant and did editing for some big brands, for some campaigns that people saw across London. That was a very exciting time. I tried everything in the industry, and little did I know that I knew that will lead me to something big. At that point, I still couldn't connect the dots. It was just very interesting. I was really curious. And after working for over a decade, I figured out that the industry is missing some crucial parts. It's not as fast as the other industries to adopt to new trends. And that was actually really surprising for me because the fashion industry still works. They have this old wholesale model system. They operate in a very old-fashioned, old-school way. So I thought there's so much space for the new technologies there. And I actually would love to change a lot of things. Especially, I'm sure everybody knows that fashion is incredibly bad for our environment. They're responsible for over 10% of the carbon footprint, which is insane. Things like knowing that for to produce one t-shirt, you require more than 1,000 liters of water. Crazy. It's crazy numbers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of technologies that can change that can change the industry for the better. So the waste, the issues, the return issues, everything. There's a lot of issues in the industry. And I thought, okay, we need to change it. And that's how I understood that I want to work in tech. fashion tech, to make the industry better, to blend those two worlds together. So I was headhunted by fantastic VC that I work for uh, to lead a company called Seam. And Seam is a digital fashion platform where we blended Web3 and Web2 worlds. So in 2021, when there was an NFT boom, we were really aiming to go that path, and then we changed a bit and introduced new technologies. We saw what brands are more interested in, what they're willing to use. I mean, the NFT bubble, it kind of like was big and then it collapsed, let's say. The numbers speak for it. So we introduced things like AR, try-ons, VR, game skins. So every single possible digital fashion technology that was available. And we introduced it to traditional fashion brands, to brands that were not aware of what it is, how they can use it, how it can help them. Why do they even need to use that? So that was one of the first steps. And after that, I founded another product as part of Seam Technologies called Smart Digital Product Passports, Smart DPP. So digital product passports for the fashion industry. That is actually a very big project right now. One of the main ones, the one I'm very excited about. We can, of course, speak more about that, but yeah, I guess.
Wow. Well, and thank you for sharing that story because I was busy just scribbling down my notes thinking what you're showing is that with a passion and a determination, you've been spotting those opportunities and you've tried many things within a sector to now hone it in. And it feels to me like you've really found that match between technology and fashion and where that future is going to take your industry. And yeah, that CSR element of also the environmental impact, how we can use technology to reduce the environmental impacts in an industry that is so passionate for many people. It's inspirational. And so, how have you found the world of tech? Now that you're leading a technology fashion business, what's been the highs? What's been the learns?
Well, the best part of the industry is that you meet a lot of open-minded people and people who are passionate about what they do. They're not stuck in one place. They're willing to explore. They want to move the world forward. And specifically knowing that we're living in a very exciting time right now. And I think that technology, it already is changing the world, right? We have this big boom, for example, the AI revolution right now that's happening. You see it all. You see people, excited about it, doing new projects. The tech industry, it's comparing to the traditional fashion industry where I always worked, tech industry was like, let's say fresh, really fresh for me. I'll just say like that. And you meet people from all over the world. It's really diverse. Of course, as any other industry, it still has its downsides. I mean, I'm a female entrepreneur, and yes, sometimes I don't feel that it's equal, which I guess we all manage to, go through, but I think it's important not to pay attention and just do what you're doing and prove that you're worth something. So at the end of the day, people just care about the product you build and they care about results and not just who you are. So they see the product and that's what they're going to look at the end of the day, right? What value does it bring? Does it change the world? Does it make the world a better place? Are we going to use that product? And if yes, nothing else matters. You're just doing what you're supposed to do. And it's important to follow the path and the journey and to carry your values. That's what I feel. But I think tech industry is the best industry for sure to be in. Just thinking that you're part of history, part of changing the world. It's about the innovations, culture, and that what actually deeply matters to me.
Just so inspiring to hear, and thank you for being really, quite open that there is challenges still within the sector, within the industry. And I know when we first met and was talking a little bit about both the podcast, but also, just your outlook, and it really resonated with me when you said that, it's amazing how people can really underestimate you or people actually you love to prove them wrong because what a lovely driver to have, but it's a shame that it's still there and that's something that we have to do, but with people like yourself with a voice walking the walk and breaking down those barriers, it's hopefully you get inspiration from that yourself.
Absolutely. And I think, again, it's important to just keep driving the positive change, keep going forward, just carry your values. And for example, I'm here to do what I'm going to do and to change the world for a better place with the technologies we're creating, right? To change the industry, to make it better. So the rest is not as important. That's the
Yeah.
main focus here.
Yeah, yeah, and again, I totally agree with you. And so, thinking a little bit about working in diverse teams and culture, because it's so clear to me that culture is a huge, huge part of what you believe in and what you're trying to build with Seam. How do you find being able to get people working together? What's some of your tricks of being able to, or your approach when working with diverse teams and getting everyone to have an opportunity?
That's a great question, actually. I think one of the main things is to be sure that the people carry the same values, going back to the values. And if the people carry the same values, we can all get along, right? That's the only thing, again, that matters. I'm going back to that point. I'm probably repeating myself, but that's what I believe in. So it doesn't matter where the people are from, where they come from. For example, my team, we're all remote, and we have people living from New York to Bangladesh. People are around the globe, and we have calls, from the early morning to the late night. People live in different parts of the world. They have very different backgrounds, different educations. Some people went to, a tech school, right? Some people studied in art school. So everybody has a very different background and different career path. Some people are self-made, completely self-made. Some people have, they went through the best universities and saw a lot of things. But we still get along because we are following the same mission, same path. And that's actually the wonderful thing about the tech industry, because I think anybody can get in. It's not just about attending a certain school or about knowing the right people. Everybody with a passion and with the right mentality can join. So again, I think, and I care a lot about people, and I think creating environments where diverse voices are heard, it's non-negotiable.
Yeah, yeah, and again, just so so true. There's the non-negotiables and people living your values, having voices heard, and yeah, how interesting that you're proving the success of being able to run fully remote teams all around the world, but it doesn't. It sounds to me like it's got to be your DNA or how you really genuinely think about how to build high performing teams. Well, that leads so nicely then on to the final part of the podcast, where I always ask people like yourself and people who are building teams and being that entrepreneur, what one or two bits of career advice can you give the young people who are looking to try and get a footstep in their career, following the same path as you? What bits of advice would you share?
Well, first of all, I think it's very important to take every opportunity that comes your way. A lot of people think, oh, we have an opportunity today, maybe we'll say no, we're not sure, and tomorrow we're going to have another one. It doesn't work like that. If you get any opportunity, say yes to it. And that is actually the best thing I did. So when I came to London and I couldn't get my dream job at that moment, I didn't turn away opportunities like working in retail or working and on the shop floor, being an assistant. It didn't matter to me. I did everything possible because sometimes you don't know where that's going to lead you, and it's very important. So to take all those opportunities, that's number one. You need to understand that you need to not be afraid to take on conventional paths. So the best opportunities sometimes come from really unexpected places. Just remember that. So you really need to figure things out. You need to try everything, especially if you're in your 20s, let's say. That's the best time, of course. Even if it doesn't matter. If you're in your 30s, you can, of course, do the same thing. But the earlier you start, the better. Take any work opportunity. Don't just sit home. Don't expect things to come your way. And connections. The second thing, connections. Connections are really important. Not just for getting your dream job or the right, investors. It's important for also knowledge. The more connections you have, the more people you know, the more information you're going to get your way. And it's better to have a diverse group of people around you. That's how you're going to be exposed to more information and have different points of views and maybe understand yourself better. So those are the main two things. Say yes to all the opportunities and don't forget about the connections. Be out there. Talk to people.
Yeah, well, Alexandra, what absolutely fantastic advice, because I just couldn't agree with you more. Taking opportunities, making those connections, being brave enough to prove that it's not about age, is it? Even gender, race, you can make connections with anyone if you're willing to have that open mindset and be brave enough, I think, to ask questions, I guess, as well, isn't it? Ask, search for
Yeah.
knowledge.
Absolutely. I think also we're living in like the time now is it never was better. You can use AI for all of your questions, right? Ask ChatGPT, then go and text people on LinkedIn. Add the CEO of the company you're willing to work for. Add him to your LinkedIn, friend group. Ask him questions. Maybe he will reply, go to different events, talk to people. And sooner or later it will work. I always say to people, like I had, for example, a moment in life when I was not sure that, okay, what am I going to do now? I worked in traditional fashion industry, and there was a moment when I was actually really struggling. I didn't know what I'm going to do because I was not happy with my job. I was not happy with what I'm doing. I didn't feel that I'm bringing any value to the world. And I thought there was a moment when I thought nothing good is going to happen. That happened to me too. But then I was like, actually, no. And just it came my way.
Yeah, and what a brilliant, brilliant way to sort of sign off our podcast with such a strong message. This has been really, really enlightening. Thank you. It's so good to have different guests on this podcast for the STEM ambassadors, for the many young people who listen to this. And yeah, your story is not only inspiring, but actually it's so great to see you thriving, and long may that continue. So Alexandra, thank you for being a guest on our podcast.
Charlie, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thanks.
And to our listeners, that is another episode of our Future Tech podcast. As many of you know, it's shared with the STEM ambassadors, as well as on our website and LinkedIn. And so for everyone listening, thank you. And one more time, a massive thank you to Alex. And that is Future Tech.